Hey, welcome back. Let's quiet the output of this replace chain functionality. So right now, we have some console.errors in the console.log from the replace chain method that is really causing this huge dump on our command line in the test runner. So what we can do is we can go to the block of tests for the replace chain method, and we can make two variables available for the error mock and the log mock. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the error mock and the log mock to instances of the jest.fn method. So before each block, before every replace chain test, let's set the error mock to a jest.fn, make sure I spell that correctly, and the log mock to a jest.fn. So this really cool function of jest allows us to create temporary methods for tests that keep track of whether or not certain methods were called during the execution of some code. So what we can do is we can replace the global console.error method with this error mock temporarily. So let's say that global.console.error is this error mock jest function. Likewise, we'll do the same thing for the global console.log method, and we're going to make it this log mock. And as we save this, the output of these tests actually becomes quiet. That is because within the context of replace chain now, when we call console.error and when we call console.log, we're actually firing these special jest.fn methods, which don't have the default behavior of printing to the output. So we can still verify that the error and the log functions have actually been called. These special jest.fn methods have special ways in jest to allow us to check whether or not they were used within the context of a function. So this is great because even though we don't want it to be printing to the terminal, we still want to make sure that these errors and these logs have actually happened within the replace chain code. So the first thing that we want to do is that we want to add a new test case when the new chain is not longer that says it logs an error. And in this case, we can have an expect statement based on the actual value of the error mock, and then we can check whether or not it was called with the to have been called jest method. So this will check whether this error mock function that we set was fired. And in order to do this, well, we want to call blockchain.replaceChain and then have the same setup. So let's share the setup between both of these tests with a before each method in this describe. We'll take out this block of tests, or rather this block of code, and place it within the original before each. And as we save this, well, we get all the tests passing, which means that our new test that checks whether it logs an error is certainly passing. Cool, so let's do the same when the new chain is not longer. We're going to say that it logs an error, so we'll expect the error mock to have been called. And in this case, we want a before each, which shares this setup when the chain is invalid. So let's add a before each here. This will take the code where it makes a fake hash on the new chain. And as we save this, again, it should log an error. Cool. And finally, we can do a very similar test for when it logs about the chain replacement. So it logs about the chain replacement is the message, and this is in the valid case. Again, we want to share the code between each test with a before each block. So we'll call blockchain.replaceChain before each test in this scope. And in this case, we're going to expect the log mock to have been called. So go ahead and copy one of the lines, and this is going to be the log mock. So make sure you have all of those changes. And as you save, the test seat is fully green. We're indeed enforcing that the log mock and the error mock has been called, so we know that global console.error and global console.log has actually been fired. And great, this is awesome. We have a quiet output as well as those enforcements. Next, let's implement the proof of work system in the blockchain. This is going to make it so that it requires some computational work to actually mine a block to the chain, which is exactly what we want as we bring this blockchain application to multiple contributors. All right, see you there.